Today marks the conclusion of Apple TV's Ted Lasso with its series finale after an amazing three-season run. With that, we are also coming to the conclusion of our three-part series where we put Ted Lasso and the entire AFC Richmond squad into Football Manager 2023. Previously on this series, we saw our AFC Richmond squad get promoted from the Sky Bet Championship after being previously relegated from the English Premier Division, meaning in the next season, Ted Lasso and the AFC Richmond squad will be trying to avoid relegation in the English Premier Division for season 4. However, avoiding relegation will be no easy task, with our main cast of characters including Jamie Tart, Sam Obisanya, and Danny Rojas now plying their trade on other English Premier Division teams. So, in seasons 4 and 5, can Ted Lasso keep this ragtag group of AFC Richmond teammates in the English Premier Division, and will he be able to believe? We're about to find out. All right, we are at the beginning of season 4, just before the start of the season, sometime in early preseason, so that we can remind you all of where Ted Lasso and our AFC Richmond squad are at. As we mentioned, we've just been promoted from the Sky Bet Championship, Ted Lasso leading our squad to a second placed finish to get promoted again automatically into the Premier Division. The expectations for this season are just to avoid relegation, so it shouldn't be too bad for Ted Lasso. This is what our squad looks like at the beginning of season 4. Again, the transfer window is still open, so there are the potential for changes with this side, but it's very similar to the squad that was promoted. We won't have many of the loan players in the upcoming season, and the only person from our original squad is kind of Bo Bumbercatch, with most of the squad having already left. And finally, this is our beloved Ted Lasso, who still looks pretty good mentally and is somewhat improving with his coaching. So, with that in mind, let's go to the end of season 4 and see whether or not Ted Lasso is able to keep our AFC Richmond squad in the English Premier Division. We are back, and I am sorry to say Ted Lasso was not able to keep our AFC Richmond squad in the EPL. AFC Richmond ended up finishing 19th place with just 6 wins, 6 draws, and 26 losses in the EPL, only garnering 24 points and a pretty bad negative 57 goal differential. Granted, Bristol City was pretty awful. They had less than the 11 points that Derby had, so I believe that is a lowest points record for the EPL. But unfortunately, AFC Richmond will be joining Bristol City in the Sky Bet Championship next season. Looking over the AFC Richmond schedule, it was a pretty bad season all around. A not so great start to the season despite beating West Ham at home early, but it seems like it was the end of the season that really killed off the team, with no wins in February, March, or April, and just the one win in May when the squad was likely already relegated. This was probably what led them to relegation. As far as transfers in were concerned, the squad spent about 55 million, but it doesn't look like they spent a whole lot on any single player. It looks like it was a smattering of players throughout. I'm surprised they signed Dan Burn. Yeah, he's 34 years old. I don't think that's a very good signing from Ted Lasso and the squad. They did also get rid of a number of players. Looking at some of the fees here, Mo Bumbercatch going to Watford is the big one on 12.75 million. He was the last of our original cast. So as far as next season is concerned, the AFC Richmond squad will be pretty much an entirely new team. As far as cup competitions were concerned, it didn't fare much better for Ted Lasso and AFC Richmond. They were knocked out in the Carabao Cup third round by Preston, and then later on in the season were knocked out in the FA Cup fourth round pretty resoundingly by Arsenal, with Isaac McAdoo unfortunately even scoring a penalty kick to lead his former team out of the cup. Looking elsewhere at some of our former players, Roy Kent is now a manager, unemployed, but he has since retired from playing at Sheffield United and has now become a manager. I think we'll see some of those attributes go up in the future, but for now, with just his National B license, Roy Kent is just an up and coming manager. The Mercurial Zava has also retired and become a manager, last playing with PSG and now looking for his first managerial position. Jamie Tart has become an absolutely fantastic player at Manchester City. 42 caps and 25 goals, a star player. He is playing fantastically well. Recently, he was the World Player of the Year, third place, was named the England Player of the Year, won the UEFA Super Cup and the UEFA Champions League with Manchester City, and in the previous season, making their seasonal best 11. As far as his career stats are concerned, 35 matches, 15 goals, 12 assists, and a 7.3 rating. He is doing wonderfully well at Manchester City. Sam Obisanya is doing similarly well at Liverpool, recently being crowned the English Premier Division champion and the Carabao Cup winners. And looking at his career stats, 31 appearances and 10 assists. He is essentially the new Trent Alexander-Arnold. Well done to Sam Obisanya. Looking at Dani Rojas, he is unfortunately injured at the moment, but that didn't stop him from making 31 appearances for Tottenham, scoring 6 goals and having 2 assists in the previous season. And finally, to round out our players before we go look at everyone at the end of the next season, Isaac McAdoo, now playing his trade for Arsenal, made 34 appearances and from center back actually scored 10 goals. I wonder if a lot of those were penalties since he's oddly good at penalties in the game. But overall, he is doing really well. And he actually made his first international appearance for England, scoring against Australia, and recently won the Europa League with Arsenal. So he's having a pretty good career. And finally, this is a short look at the AFC Richmond squad who will be trying to win the Sky Bet Championship this season. It looks like the most important player is this goalkeeper who they signed for 7.75 million from Fenerbahce. And overall, he is a pretty good looking goalkeeper with excellent aerial reach, pretty good one-on-ones and handling. So he will be trying to lead this AFC Richmond squad back to the Premier Division. Unfortunately, though, he is wanted, so we actually may not see him when we advance the game next. So we have one more season with this AFC Richmond squad and Ted Lasso, and we're going to see if we can conclude this experiment with a promotion. We'll see you one more season into the future. All right, this is the end of the experiment. This is our final season. Let's see how Ted Lasso and AFC Richmond were able to do. And looking at it, we did not get promoted. Oh, we're in the Sky Bet Championship again for the next season. Oh, looking at the last season, Ted Lasso and AFC Richmond were only able to finish 10th. I'm not gonna lie, that is a very underwhelming conclusion to this experiment. I was really hoping for a promotion. Looking at their schedule and form, it was a stuttering start to the season for Ted Lasso and AFC Richmond. But it seems like looking through, despite a really good run of form in January, February, and March, it was 6 straight losses at the end of the season that consigned them to a mid-table finish. So unfortunately, we will not see Ted Lasso and AFC Richmond back in the English Premier Division. As far as cup competitions are concerned, it was another Carabao Cup exit in the fourth round to Arsenal and a pretty convincing 4-1 loss to Everton in the FA Cup third round. So no Crid Cup competitions for Ted Lasso or AFC Richmond. As far as the squad is concerned, honestly, I don't recognize any of the names from the beginning of the experiment. It's pretty much an entirely new squad. They have brought in some decent players. Facundo Palestri, Hannibal, Mario Pasalic are all pretty decent players who would probably do well at this level. Unfortunately, Ted Lasso just couldn't make this team believe and bring them up to the EPL. Here's our final look at Ted Lasso. It actually looks like he's improved quite a lot. His tactical maybe gone down a little bit, but attacking has improved, and it looks like some of those mental attributes have improved from where we saw him last. So overall, Ted Lasso is learning and becoming a better manager, but 5 seasons in, it just hasn't quite been enough to promote our AFC Richmond squad. So I think that's enough of AFC Richmond. Let's go look at some of our former players and see where they are at the end of 5 seasons. Unfortunately, Roy Kent is still an unemployed manager, still with his National B license, so he's still looking for his first managerial position. As we mentioned earlier, Jamie Tart has become a fantastic player, 54 caps and 37 goals for England now. Last season, again, 15 goals in 3 seasons in a row. He also got 8 assists, an average 7.27 rating in 36 games. And looking at his milestones, he is a UEFA Champions League winner with Manchester City, won the Champions League Golden Boot, was named the best player in Europe, and has won a trophy, the European International League, with England. So he is becoming a stalwart in the City side, a stalwart in England, and he is on his way to another fantastic career. Sam Obisanya is doing similarly well with Liverpool. Last season, 33 appearances and 9 assists. Again, he is taking over magnificently from Trent Alexander-Arnold. And looking at his milestones, unfortunately, they didn't win any competitions last year. However, he was named the African Defender of the Year, so he's doing well in that sense. Seeing that neither City or Liverpool won the last edition of the EPL, I was curious to see who won it, and it turns out Arsenal won it, which means that one of our former players, Isaac McAdoo, would have lifted the EPL with Arsenal. Once again, he is looking like a really great player. Last season, he played 32 matches in a title winning campaign, and with Arsenal, was able to win the EPL and Carabao Cup, and was also part of the England squad that won the European International League. Danny Rojas has also developed quite nicely and has integrated himself well into the Mexican national team with 47 caps and 38 goals. Last season, he did start off injured, but with 27 appearances, he managed 2 goals and 2 assists. So, not great, but not too bad. And he did win his first trophy with Mexico, winning the North American Nations League. Well done to Football is Life, Danny Rojas. Looking at some of our other players, Colin Hughes is now at West Ham. He's also made a number of appearances for the Welsh national team, but he's doing pretty well. A 7.45 rating, 2 goals, and a whopping 12 assists in the English Premier Division last season, which means Colin Hughes is having a stunning career. And actually, he's also had a trophy, winning the FA Cup with West Ham. I'm very happy to see Colin Hughes doing so well. Mo Bamberkatch left our squad after the previous season, and he doesn't look too bad, but he never made an international appearance for England. Last season, in the EPL, 37 appearances, 5 goals, and 1 assist for Watford, and he did make the Watford seasonal best 11, so overall, not too bad for Mr. Mo Bamberkatch. Jan Moss now plays for Al Duhail, who he joined pretty early on in the save, and overall, he has done very well for them in Qatar with a 7.48 rating and a really good 8.17 rating previously. And looking at his milestones, he's scored a few goals, but it doesn't look like he's won any competition. So overall, pretty solid performances from Jan Moss, but no trophies as of yet. Thierry Sereau, or Van Dam as we have him here, has developed pretty well. He has 58 caps for Canada. Looking at his career stats, he's pretty much played every game and he's been a solid goalkeeper for Fulham. As far as what he has done, he did win a North American Gold Cup with Canada, and he was the North American goalkeeper third place and also has pretty frequently been in Fulham's seasonal best 11. So it seems like it's been international trophies galore for many of our AFC Richmond players, and I'm happy to see Van Dam winning a trophy. And I think our final player is Richard Martlar and his amazing wine collection. He is applying his trade at Leeds. Unfortunately, he had 2 decent seasons with Leeds, but the past season he only had 1 appearance and 1 goal, so it seems like he will be leaving. Looking at some of his milestones, nothing really big since he left AFC Richmond, so maybe his career hasn't panned out as well. No appearances for the French national team, but he still looks like a pretty solid player. Let's see who he's wanted by. He may end up going to Italy, so best of luck for Richard Matlar as he moves probably away from Leeds. And that is the conclusion to this Football Manager 2023 experiment. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Unfortunately, we couldn't see AFC Richmond back in the English Premier Division, but hopefully we'll see them back very, very soon. And with that, I have an announcement. And the announcement is we will be bringing something new to the Filipino FM channel. We are going to do an AFC Richmond playthrough. I'm going to see if I can do better than Ted Lasso was able to do with AFC Richmond and our Football Manager 2023 experiment. We're going to be going back to season 1 of our database, and we're going to be playing through and seeing if we can win the English Premier Division and the UEFA Champions League with this AFC Richmond squad. The goal of the save is going to be to try and keep as much of the original cast together. Obviously, we'll be losing Zava, but we'll try to keep them together and win with Jamie Tart, Samuel Bisanya, Danny Rojas, etc. So that is something to look forward to coming from the channel as the channel continues to grow. I would like to thank you all for your support on the Football Manager experiment videos. The reception has been really good, and I've been really happy by that. And I would like to thank you all who have been watching the videos. You can look forward to more Football Manager 2023 experiments soon, along with our new channel videos. Thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you all soon. Bye.